right, nice to see everyone. We're going to get started and we'll do introductions all around. So I'll start. Gabrielle Gerhardt, I'm going to be the chair tonight, and I'm with the Windermere North Sandpoint Hub. And then if everybody could call on somebody, that would be great. I'm going to call on Linda Norland.
Hi, Linda Norland, Lakewood Seward Park Hub. And I'm going to call on Matt Blank.
Hey, Matt Blank from the Ravenna Hub. Let's see, call on Kurt.
Hi, I just came online, so I don't know what we're doing.
Just saying our name and where we're from.
Hi, I'm Kurt Gunsroth, North Capitol Hill Hub. And I don't know who to call on next because, as I said, I just got on.
I'll do that. Oh,
I'll
okay.
go. Kurt,
ahead.
thank you for playing along. You'll make a great co-cup captain, so welcome. And I'm Cindy Barker. I'm from Morgan Junction, and I will call on Ann Bond.
Ann Bond, East Lake Hub, East Lake Union. And I'll call on Louise.
Louise Luthi, Laurelhurst Hub, and I'll call on Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Jessica Clausen from the North Capitol Hill Hub. And I will choose Stephen Smith.
Stephen, you're muted.
Steve Smith from Madison Valley Hub, and I will call on Kathleen Keller.
Hi.
You're still muted.
I'm not.
Somebody's muted.
Hi, Catherine Keller from Homer Harris Hub.
Hi, Kathleen. Thanks.
Catherine.
Let's have Laura go next.
Hi, Laura Cat from Time P Patch.
I don't think they heard you.
We heard you.
Oh, okay. All right, let's see. I think Dave Wilma next.
Dave Wilma, Seattle ACS. I live in the Licton Springs neighborhood.
What's that?
Ann.
I am Ann Forrest. I'm in the Northeast sector. Victory Heights is my community.
I see Kathy and then Mary Kate after that.
Could be Kathy at the Broadview Hub and also ACS.
Hi, Mary Kate Ryan, Judkins Park Hub.
Oh, that's near you. I think I see Pat and then Bill have not gone. And after that, if anybody else hasn't gone, we'll let them speak up. Pat?
Pat Mork from Broadview also.
And I'm Bill Fay with the Queen Anne Playfield Hub.
Great. Did we miss anybody? Okay, I think we got everyone. All right, so we'll move ahead. The first item on the agenda, Cindy, this was you, Hub Stuff. Are you ready to speak or do you need a few more minutes?
Nope, I'm good. I'm going to share my screen.
Right.
And so for folks, I did a little test drive of this topic at the last deep dive. It was kind of a teaser. And Ron had baseball hats made and quite a while ago, it was way two years before COVID. And we have so many new hub captains, you know, we sort of went, well, maybe we ought to go look at this. And then at the same time, Madison Valley came up with these really fabulous looking vests. And so what I said was, well, if I got to go get baseball hats made, I might as well take the vest design, which Madison Valley graciously said we could steal, and go see what kind of costs we could get. And so I'm going to show the vests and the hats. And I went to what I thought was just a local vendor because I'd much rather use local than, you know, some big chain. And the cost of this vest was $80. So there was embroidery on the front and, oh no, I gotta get rid of you guys. And embroidery on the back. This is probably a little oversized, but you know, they were just doing a mock-up. So that's what the vests look like. And then the other baseball hats are Seattle Emergency Communication Hubs. They're pretty much the same design we've had before. I think the previous one said Seattle, either communication hubs or emergency hubs, and we put all the words in this time because they could all fit. So the cost of the vest, if I didn't say it already, was $80. The cost of the baseball hats was $32. And it was, that's just crazy expensive. And I don't know if it's because it's the times we live in or, you know, the cost of everything has gone up so much. And so I stopped, you know, I just don't have the bandwidth to go do something like that. But everybody who I test ran this from on the deep dive said we would not spend that kind of money. So I am putting it out into the universe and saying, if there's anybody who really enjoys making, you know, logo work and geez, we're at a truck stop.
Graphic design.
Yeah, hang on. We're just trying to figure out what that huge noise was outside the door. Yeah, the graphic designs, no big deal. It's that, you know, dickering with them over, is it a trucker style hat or what, how heavy is the hat or how big is the vest or are there size differences? So if somebody would like to take this on, please let me know if you want to try and get the price down. I think that might interest people more, but I'm basically going to put it on the shelf until after the summer. So that's all I wanted to do is put that out there.
Okay, Cindy, I had a question and then I'll ask if anybody else has a question. When you got the bid, that was per piece, and was there some minimum number you were talking about? I mean, I would imagine maybe if you got 100 hats, maybe the price would go down a little, or were you talking about numbers or you weren't to that point?
I did. What they do is they charge you a flat setup fee, and then the price afterwards is the price afterwards. And we've the most hats we've ever had made at any one time was 25. So I was not even prepared to talk about 100 hats. So okay. The answer to your question is no, I did not explore other ways to bring down the price.
Okay, thanks. Does anybody else have a question or a comment they want to share?
Great, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Cindy. Thanks for checking that out. All right, we're going to move on to our next topic, which is Anne hosting your next drill.
Thanks, Gabrielle. All right, this is not a very long PowerPoint, but I do just kind of want to talk through what I've learned, what I think the group has learned preparing for this drill, and a little bit about the drill. So if you don't know, it's June 11th, 1:30 to 4. There's 10 hubs participating. So our scenario is Friday, June 9th, the city experienced a citywide power outage. Emergency Operations Center activated that night, Friday night. Hubs, some of them, 10 of them, I guess, activated on Saturday. So they worked all day Saturday, went home, and then we are opening back up on Sunday. So this is sort of day 2 after the event. When we open up on Sunday, no one has power. Phone, internet, and cell signal are all down. Commercial communications, meaning radio and TV, are not transmitting. And that includes Lake Cairo, the official emergency radio station for this area. Again, all of them are down. Police, fire, and city departments are able to talk on their radios, but the system is quite overloaded. So that's the scenario. In doing this, in preparing for this exercise, we had to ask a lot of questions about what does a citywide power outage look like? We've kind of explored some of these issues in deep dives, but I was trying to get really, really concrete information from the city. They, in my opinion, they tend to talk at a little higher level. And I really wanted to know what my neighbors were going to be experiencing if there was a big power outage like this. So that's what I tried to get them to tell me. So traffic lights, they do not have any kind of battery backup system. And this is why. These are called signal boxes. There's a gazillion in your neighborhood. Most of them look like the one on the left, which is pretty nondescript. Some of them are have artwork on them, like the one on the right. But basically, you would have to put a battery, or I don't know how you can get a generator in this, but so battery backup. You would have to put a battery backup in each one of these boxes. And again, if you've ever noticed these, they are everywhere. I probably can walk by 10 of them in a 10-minute walk in my community. There's quite a few of them. So that's why we don't have battery backups on our traffic lights, because that's what it would take. Also, SDOT and Washington Department of Transportation both lose their bank of cameras. So I asked for a picture of what this looked like. Like, I wanted to see the room with all these gazillion TV screens, basically, with traffic cameras pointed at all these different important intersections. I wanted to see what that looked like, but Patty Quirk was not able to get that to me just yet. Anyway, so they lose their cameras, which means they are completely blind. There's no other way to figure out how traffic is working and make any kind of accommodations if they don't have these cameras. So again, from her level, which is I'm trying to oversee everything, she's operating blind if they lose power. So I thought that was really interesting. And it said a lot about her mentality, about that situational awareness. That really stresses her out at SDOT. Washington Department of Transportation has some contractors that they have paired with for backup, but that's not an immediate kind of thing. They have to put that contract into play before these folks are able to do any kind of redundancy on their system. So the express lanes, I use the express lane a lot, so I was kind of interested in it. It can be changed manually, but it would take folks getting out there and changing it, and traffic is going to be a nightmare because all the traffic lights are out. Light rail, she didn't have much to say about this because all of this is controlled by the train company, and that's all she said. I don't know who that is, but it's somebody other than the city, basically. So my question was, are the crossing barriers, those poles that go across traffic, that go across train crossings, do they land in the up position or the down position? And she is checking on that. Didn't have an answer for me yet. I honestly couldn't even hazard a guess as to which way they're going to be locked. Bridges that move have backup generators. So they are able to move even if there's this massive power outage. However, bridges, maritime traffic has priority. So bridges are in the up position. So we as vehicular traffic are SOL. So any bridge that can move will be put in the up position and kept there. And I've heard that before, so this isn't new to me, but I thought maybe it would be of interest to the folks on the call, because I'm not sure how widespread that law is. Retail gas stations do not have generators, so it's nice that there's plenty of gas in the ground that that somebody could use, but there's, to my knowledge, no way to get it out of there. So fuel is going to be an issue for the city. So trash, real quickly, their compactors don't work. Obviously, their trucks are still going to drive around and pick up trash, but it's going to be slowed down because traffic's going to be a mess. And because they cannot compact their trash, it's going to build up faster than it normally would. So that's the impact on traffic and trash. Any questions so far?
The
I
light
see a
rail
couple.
trains, the light rail trains are electric. Will they be running?
My guess is no. She's going to ask that question too. So
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain the answer is no. To get more in the weeds, I wanted to know whether or not those crossing, whatever they're called, there's a name for that thing, but I don't know what it is. I really
The
wanted to
barrier,
know
the
if we
traffic
could,
control barriers.
yeah, I wanted to know if we could get across the tracks, or are we, stuck on one side or the other. Good question, Laura. How can the trash trucks drive around if they can't get gas? It's going to be a struggle. There, I think this is common knowledge. There is a plan for the mayor to commandeer all the gas in the city when necessary. That gas would obviously go to the most important places like hospitals to keep their generators running, generators for police stations, fire stations, the emergency operations center, and then facilities like, SPU, all those kinds of folks. So our ability to get gas will be very limited if the mayor puts that declaration into place. And just FYI, I can't really watch chat really well while I'm talking. So if anybody has any burning issue, go ahead and interrupt me. Let's talk about
Commented about the gas stations. I mean, if there is a gas station and gas is available, there are hand crank or electric pumps that can move it.
Who would have a hand crank though?
Anybody that has a tank in the back of their pickup truck has a
Okay.
dispenser on it. A lot
Okay.
of people will just have those in their garage if they've got
Cool
stuff.
All right, this is a lot of the after action kind of stuff that I'm hoping to learn. Okay, so let's talk about water. 90% of our water is gravity fed, but that's like from the Cedar watershed and the Tolt River watershed. So yes, water can still get to us, but in order to treat that water, you need power. The treatment centers in the city, or wherever they're stationed close around the city, have backups to their backup generators. So they are well prepared to treat the water. But they will, because they're running on backup generators, they will increase the sampling quantities that they do. They normally sample the water regularly, but they will increase that. They will up that if they're having to rely on backup generators. Those generators need fuel. So, constant fuel issues here. And we as the public will probably be asked to conserve water and or boil the water, especially if that sampling comes back and it's not as high quality as they would like for us to have. So the idea of boiling water when there's no power is kind of difficult. Let's talk about wastewater or sewage. There are 67 pump stations throughout the city that require power. So even though our water is gravity fed, our sewage doesn't leave our buildings as much by gravity. There is more of a need to pump our sewage than there is to pump our water. So 67 pump stations throughout the city, and they do not have backup generators. They have mobile generators. There's about 16 of them. So they are having to figure out which of these pump stations is getting to the point where the tanks are overflowing and they need to get a generator full of fuel to there as soon as possible to keep it from overflowing. Overflow is inevitable. That's basically what they told me. As much as they will try, as hard as they will work, it's really difficult to move around that many generators, especially if traffic's a nightmare, with fuel in them, and get them to work and get all these holding tanks basically pumped out to wherever they need to go. So overflow is inevitable. Again, these generators need fuel. And the public will probably be asked to reduce the toilet use. The city is working on how to message that. That's kind of a tough message. And in this exercise, the Office of Emergency Management, the Emergency Operations Center, does not have the ability to send out really long, complex texts. The only way to get information out, because like I said, there's no phone, there's no internet, and there's no Wi-Fi. The only way to get information out to the public on the ground is through ACS, the radio folks, out to the hubs. So, and to make a really long message go over radio is incredibly labor intensive. So we're talking 1 or 2 sentences and that's it. So it's a good exercise for us, and it's a very good exercise for the city to figure out how to message this quickly, concisely, accurately, and help people stay safe, especially when it comes to something like toilets and nobody's ever heard of a twin bucket toilet. Okay, the last 2 things I've got on here is schools. I was surprised by this, but schools will not operate when there is that big of a power outage. One of the reasons, probably the biggest reason, is the fire suppression system won't work. So if you do not have the ability to fight fires in a building like that, they will not allow children in it. So school will be closed down. And then the other issue that we would have to deal with if this was truly a real thing would be humans misbehaving. This is not an earthquake where everybody is kind of brought down to the same level of just trying to survive, which makes humans interact well with one another. This no power out, we're just used to power being out every once in a while and secure in the knowledge that it'll come back, and why not loot the store while I can. So there is an issue of humans misbehaving. We are not going to deal with that in this drill. It was just a bridge too far for me. So, oh, there's my schools out for summer t-shirt, and there's my human misbehaving graphic. So I'm going to pause right there and see if anybody has any questions.
On the wastewater issue, sewers are gravity fed, but there are pumping stations at low points in the city that have to pump the sewage back up over hills. If there's no power for long enough, there will be a substantial spread of raw, untreated sewage in the vicinities of the pumping stations, which are just vaults underground. So sewage will start bubbling up out of manhole-looking covers around the pump station. And so that by itself is a hazard.
Yep. Thank you, Kurt. Yeah, that's that whole taking 16 generators and trying to make 67 pump stations functional. There, yeah, overflow is unavoidable. Thanks. Any other comments or questions real quick?
And I have one. This is Mary Kate, Judkins Park. And I guess since you've been asking all these questions of the city, if we want to engage some of the businesses or institutions in our neighborhoods, what kind of questions should we be asking them? Do they have an emergency plan, for example? Like Washington Middle School is right near our hub, so we could presumably reach out and contact them and ask if they would be closed, if they would have any resources. And just as we try to engage some of our local businesses, what are the questions that we can ask so that they're thinking about this along with us?
Yeah, Mary Kate, you're you're too smart. You're thinking too far down the road. I don't have a great answer. Absolutely engage them. The schools. So let's start with schools. They absolutely have a plan. Their plan is if they are not seeing kids, it is to send the kids home. The staff goes home and they're done. I believe, if I had to hazard a guess, and Cindy's on the line, she could definitely check me if I'm wrong. I would assume the city has plans for those schools if the kids are not using them. But I know the goal is to get kids back into school as soon as possible so that parents can do other things. So the schools are pretty high on the priority list of getting, especially if there's nothing wrong with the school. Maybe it's an issue of moving a generator around and getting kids back to school. So I don't know that there's resources in a school building that would be available to the community.
Yeah, I can't see, this is Cindy, I can't see the city also electing to send people into a building where the fire suppression system's not working.
Yeah.
It also
To the
seems to me
question-
though, oh, sorry, go ahead, Cindy.
No, go ahead and finish the school topic.
Oh, I was going to say, you know, it seems feasible that kids could go back into school in June, but if this happened in a winter month and the school was cold, the heat systems weren't working, we would not be sending children in there either.
Yeah, no kids are going back until the electricity is on. That is, it's just a safety issue they're not willing to take on, rightly so. So for some reason that really surprised me. I just had this image of, you know, you're in a classroom, you open up the blinds and it's light enough in the building to do school and you just write on the chalkboard. But no, that isn't what happens.
Yeah, I gotta thank Anne, because that's one of those gems that when she is kind of pushing the departments to help us give the best and most accurate scenarios for this drill so that we're not misleading people about what's going on. And she uncovers something like that, this turns into our teachable moment stuff. And so it's really good to say, hey, guess what? You know, this is why you need to be prepared for, you know, all these kind of scenarios. So the question about engaging your businesses, that is, we should probably do a deep dive on that. That's very hard because you can go into any business and say, what would you do if there was an earthquake? What would you do if the power is out? And they kind of, you know, they'll have a little dialogue with you, but when you leave, they go right back to the next customer in line or whatever their next task is. I have been very unsuccessful in getting anybody to really take anything other than, I guess I'll worry about it that at some point kind of attitude. So, you know, all you can do is have the discussion with people, and maybe once in a while you'll find someone who wants to take it a next step. But the few progressions I've made is because I just dragged them along because they were really important businesses.
So can I ask one question?
Well, Catherine put her hand up first.
Oh, I can't see anything because all I'm seeing is a screen here.
Oh, Catherine and then Linda.
Okay.
So this is an incredible scenario, and if we can use it in some of the outreach, you know, kind of frame it how it needs to be framed. But I would love to use it in some of the outreach, at least that I'm doing on social media. You know, I think also exposing people to the fact that we do drills and we have a scenario that we're working with, and we, you know, in tech, it's all about plan, do, check, adjust as the organizing methodology all throughout tech. So this is actually really powerful, I'll just say, and also a lot more tangible than an earthquake that'll happen sometime in the next X decades. So thank you, thank you. And per outreach sidebar, you know, we do have Lawrence Petrie, who's a hub captain in Leschi, who also is the head of the African American Small Business People's Association or something in the central area. So I think we could take a side conversation that I would love to be part of and maybe include him and talk about businesses as another thing to do later. I'd love to do that.
I like Cindy's idea of a deep dive on businesses and engaging with your community. Linda, did you have something to say?
I'm just following up on the remark about if it were cold, and that would be a whole nother scenario. It seems like from your list, I gathered that there's plenty of impacts that will happen no matter what the season is. But if it were in the summer and there was the extreme heat event, or in the winter when there was an extreme cold event, then we would have compounded many, many things. So I'm guessing this was a conscious choice not to go there with those things, given that there's plenty to deal with anyway.
Yeah, I'll say it was a conscious choice, but it wasn't. It was just lucky. Hey, I do want to say one thing, kind of along the same lines of what Cindy was saying about reaching out to businesses. I reached out to we have a nursing home in my community. It's a memory care center. And I kind of went in there with the idea of, tell me what your plans are. And I'm thinking, this is a nursing home. It's a chain. Surely they have plans. And what I walked away with was learning for myself, learning what their vulnerabilities were. And there's two of them. They do a just-in-time delivery system for all of their supplies. So they're going to run out of gloves and wipes and adult diapers and everything else they use. They're going to run out in no time. Their second issue is trash. Again, it gets picked up several times a week. If trash trucks can't run, they are screwed. And people die anyway because they're close to the end of, they're just older. And they have morphine there. So in talking with that business, I walked away with a lot of information. They don't have a plan. I get that. But I know as a hub captain, I know what their vulnerabilities are. That was why it was valuable for me. I can send a volunteer over there to check out how they're doing. I know whether or not they have gas. I know what their issues are. So I'm just more informed about what the vulnerabilities in my community are by going to that business. Okay, any other quick comments before we continue?
I have another one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
This
Go
is
ahead,
Mary
Mary
Kate again. We have some of the newer buildings around us are taller than the majority of buildings in the neighborhood, especially the ones along Jackson Street. And I don't know if anyone has talked to larger apartment complexes, but do any of them or some of them have an understanding of how many people in their building are wheelchair users and who might need help in a power outage, either getting supplies or at least being checked on?
I'll take that one too.
Okay, go ahead, Cindy.
If it is a building that is run by Seattle Housing Authority or one of the housing nonprofits, yes, they probably have some rudimentary plan in place. If it is a private owned apartment, condo, tower, unless it's very unusual, and an emergency committee has formed, and we know maybe about 10 or 15 around the city who've reached out to us. Everybody is on their own. It's just like you live on a block, except you have to have a neighbor on the 13th floor and nobody knows anything about her except maybe her two neighbors who might think to ask her if they can, like during COVID, can we run up and down and get anything for you because you can't use the elevator. So there is nothing compelling private residences to do anything.
Thanks, Cindy. Okay.
I have a
So
question.
Sure, go ahead.
Did we find out what the natural gas utility will do in the event of a power failure?
I'm going to put that on my list. Go ahead.
No, Anne. So I made
Yeah.
contact with the public utility outreach person the day before I left on vacation. She was supposed to send me an email with her contact information and she has not. So I just,
Okay.
I'm going to be home in 5 days, and Susie and I, this is a topic that I've been working with Susie. We'll pick that up then.
Okay. But we'll have an answer before, we'll either write things into the exercise or we won't, depending on what happens with the gas. I can't believe I don't know that, but I don't. Okay, so network goals. So this is the Cindy and Ann, what do we want to get out of this kind of exercise? So not individual hubs. We would like to address power needs for those with access and functional needs. Not that we're going to solve them, but we just want to throw some issues in there. And when I say access and functional needs, I'm talking about people who can't get around because their wheelchair battery is used up. The person that is bedbound and needs electricity to live, is there anything we can be doing for them? all the way to, I'm on insulin and I've opened it, my last vial of insulin and I need to keep it cold and my fridge doesn't work, that kind of stuff. So again, we're not solving these issues, but we're raising them in this exercise. Meal prep, always a big one. How are we going to feed ourselves and how are we going to take advantage of all the defrosting food if we don't have power? So again, not solving it, but get folks thinking about it. One of the tests for this exercise is whether or not the information coming from the city, again, that 2-sentence thing about toileting or whatever the issue is, did that information make it out of the city, the emergency operations center, to the hub, and did it get put on the information board? And the reason the way we see if that happened is we asked HubCaps or somebody, the information person, to snap a picture of that board before they erase it all and put stuff back in the box. So really easy to test to see whether or not that kind of stuff happened. As hopefully all of you know, everybody that has a hub is eligible to get a neighborhood map, so a map of just their community. So the folks that are activating those 10 hubs, plus actually quite a few more, are getting their maps on like June 3rd. So they will have them before the drill and hopefully we'll use them during the drill. And we're just kind of curious to see how they get used. So again, going to ask somebody in the hub to snap a picture of that map and just see what comes out of it. See what creative things you could do with that map. Go ahead, Anne, I see your hand raised.
Yes, thank you. And will that map have grommets or a way that we can hang it?
Yes, absolutely. We have a grommet maker. Cindy and I both have one, so we will make sure we get grommets in it before we get it to you.
Great, thank you.
Good question. Yeah, so take a photo of the map before anything gets erased. I have dreams about this. I'm not sure I can make it happen, but I would like to give HubCaps a very functional, very easy, 12 sentences to say for a safety briefing before every, should be said before every shift. So maybe if we can come up with something, it would be easy to deploy it and just see what people thought of it. Thinking about this, and this is really pie in the sky at this point, using a bike messenger in between 1 or 2 hubs, not everybody. So any of the hubs that are on the call that are activating, don't panic. But just thinking about using bike messengers for moving stuff around, because again, we all believe that traffic will be just terribly snarled. And then possibly a very limited trial, 1 hub of asking the public to send I'm safe messages, if that's possible. That's definitely working with ACS, and I haven't quite gotten there yet. So those are the goals at the high level. Notes from the radio folks. So we've talked to the radio folks and said, so what do you guys want to get out of this drill? All hubs will have an ACS radio operator, so don't panic about that. I don't think I really realized this until I heard it come out of somebody's mouth. ACS's standing orders are to get radio operators to the workforce rally points. And for those of you that don't know about these, the workforce rally points are spots in the city where city employees are supposed to go if they can't make it into their regular workspace. So the city is working very hard to take the human resources they have available and deploy them differently after a disaster. And one of the ways to do that is to create these workforce rally points, because not that many people that work for the city live in the city. So give them places to gather and be useful to the city. After a disaster. So ACS has standing orders to get radio operators to those workforce rally points before worrying about staffing the hubs. So I thought that was really interesting and I wanted to pass it on. And that may change depending on the disaster, but if there's no information coming from the city about where to deploy folks, I think that's where ACS is going to send folks, is the workforce rally points first. Yes, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, just a clarification. The workforce rally points are a separate activation from the EOC. So just because the EOC activates doesn't mean that these workforce rally points will activate. And they are not nearly as well developed as the hubs. So you will probably, I mean, they're just addresses now. They don't even, yeah, they're just addresses. And I'm not convinced that all of them would necessarily work. I visited some of them. My point is that the hubs will probably get a first bite at the apple when it comes to the communicators, but these rally point assignments may come in later, and they may come in ahead of the hub. So you may lose your communicator to a workforce rally point if we haven't built in some redundancy. So just to clarify that, the hubs will probably get communicators first.
Okay, thanks, Dave. And your hand is up. Did you have a question or comment? Or is it you just forget to lower it? Okay, I don't know what to say about that. I'm going to keep going. The radio folks are testing out a personnel tracking system. So they need to know where their folks are, and they need to know how best to deploy them and whether or not they made it to the right spot. So there will be some moving of folks around during the exercise. It's not a very long exercise, but it is very likely that your radio operator, ACS radio operator, will leave and another one will show up. Okay, so for the folks activating, just, they have to test the system, they have to test. So just, it's not a big deal. You won't even notice because you're busy running a hub. They are, as usual, testing out WinLink, so fancier ways of sending messages other than just by voice. And they are, if anybody does get assigned to a workforce rally point, they're going to use ICS 213 forms to send in sit reps, a situational awareness kind of thing, what's happening on the ground. So those are the goals for the ACS folks. It's much more complicated than that, but I didn't understand all of the conversation. It's very radio centric. When I asked the activating hubs, the 10 activating hubs, to come up with some goals for this exercise, I have to say it was a little sad, made me a little sad. The expectations are very low. I heard things like, I'd like to make a few matches between haves and needs. I really want to train my neighbors to work in the hub, which is fabulous, always the top goal. And then, there seems to be so many forms running around. I'd like to get control of those. There was more thought and more goals out there, but I thought, wow, I don't know. I just have really high expectations for an exercise. So I thought a lot about how the hubs just wanted to make a couple matches. They just wanted to feel a little bit of success. That was kind of the impression I got listening to the hubs put out their goals. So this is kind of the conversation that's happened between me and the 10 hubs, and then me, just giving it some thought. We have used a sign up for general public to generate interest. There's like 98 people signed up, or that was the last time I looked. It may be over 100 by now, but there's, around 100 people who have signed up to attend one of these drills. And this is just the general public. These are not folks that are going to be hub manager or radio folks or anybody, just wanting to attend. The beauty for that is it generates interest, I think. Plus they get a reminder 3 days before the event. Hey, don't forget, you're supposed to go to the hub drill. So we use that application, that website, and push that out to the public, which I think has helped. We'll see. We also use the same kind of tool for hub volunteers. So there are 12 spots because there are 12 different roles that you could fill in a hub. And we gave this to the hub captains of these 10 activating hubs. So it was very useful because it gives the hub captains a chance to get their neighbors to sign up first, because that's really everybody's goal. I mean, it's lovely to support the network, but let's get real. We're all kind of trying to build our own communities so that if, you know, if the balloon goes up, we're all surrounded by people that understand how the system works. So I thought it was really helpful to give the hub captains control of that sign up so that they could get their neighbors slotted in there first and then open it up to hub captains, which is going to happen tonight at the end of this meeting. So I think that worked out well. I'll talk to the activating hubs once we're all done and see what they think. We are pre-staging information so that matches happen early in the drill. Again, the disaster happened on Friday. We stood up on Saturday, and now we're standing up again on Sunday. So this is day 2.5 kind of the disaster. There's information that's going to already be in the hub when it opens on Sunday. So, and we are writing injects so that your matches are going to happen right away. So we're pushing for success. Everybody will have their neighborhood maps. We are using those maps ahead of time to pick addresses that are actually in your community, not 123 Main Street, but actually 10540 19th Avenue Northeast, happens to be my address. I'm putting addresses on my injects, my scripts, so that my community really knows what to do with that. So we're using the maps to help the hub captains actually populate these scripts with addresses that are truly in their community and maybe specific scenarios that would be unique to them. Like some people have a bridge that's really key to their survival. Others don't. Others have lots of gas stations or whatever. So a little bit of individualizing of these scripts. I thought this was really cool. This came from Laurelhurst. They have figured out what I think is a really smart way to label their canopies to make it very friendly to their neighbors. And then we talked about little free libraries and how that's really a good way to post information. So here's the canopies that Laurelhurst went with. They have 4 canopies. Their first one is labeled "Start Here." So what's in red is what's on their label in 8-inch letters, so kind of big, and written in, I think it's like red letters on a yellow background or something like that. Really stands out, and it says "Start Here." So really, kind of, you know, a no-brainer for the public. Who is sitting or who is stationed at that tent is the greeter and the information person, you know, the information boards, which I thought was genius. Everybody walking up to the hub ought to talk to the greeter and see what information's posted. And then their other 3 tents are Post Here, which is the message taker is in that area. The person handling the haves and needs is there. And the reunification officer, reunifier, whatever you're going to call them, is there mostly because there's kind of like a missing pet, missing person board in that in that tent. Instead of saying this is the education tent, they called it the Learn, you know, go to the learning center or whatever. And then a canopy labeled volunteer. Volunteer coordinator is obviously there, and the medical person. So any comments about this labeling concept?
It makes a lot of sense to me.
It does, doesn't it? It's very user friendly.
Yeah,
Good job.
This is just a specific N. I like it too. But we're now calling the resource manager the supply manager. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, so they're up here. Okay, so just an idea. So specifics about the hub, these are the 10 spots. These are the hubs that are activating, the actual address, and then more information, more of an idea of where they're really going to be. So you're not wandering around some of our bigger parks looking for the hub. And I will send this out to the whole group. So what we'd like to do next is ask you guys, hub captains, to sign up to take a role in the hub. The activating hubs have had enough time to get their neighbors in there. Some hubs have done really well, others not so much. So now you know, hub captains, you know what jobs are open and you can slide yourself in. So that QR code goes to a website that is kind of like an umbrella website where all of these different events are. So the 10 activating hubs on June 11th are under there, as well as the Skills Fair at Rainier Beach. So we're putting all of the hub activities under one QR code so you can find them all at one time. Yeah, Jessica, your question.
Yeah, thanks, Anne. This is a lot of information. It's great. Can we back up for just 1 second? When you, under the hub goals, when you said you're using the app signups for neighbors and then for the hub volunteers for the positions, are those hubs encouraging neighbors to sign up and like man a station basically?
Yeah, so when you go to the general public one, it says sign up here, please, come visit us, take 30 minutes, you'll learn so much. If you're interested in getting more involved, contact the hub captain.
Okay.
And so we have a way to get them more involved in actually signing up to be the message taker or whomever.
Ah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay, yes, okay. So there's like one more little step for them to be working in actual, like helping to set up a station?
Yes.
Okay.
But
yeah.
But the hub captain, like a lot of the hub captains have reached out to folks in their community they know are interested. They've worked with them before, they're on their team or whatever. And they said, hey, I'd like for you to fill a role in the hub on the day of the drill. Here's the sign up.
Okay.
And so they send them directly to the second one.
Yes, got it. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. And then could you cover a little more about what you mean by pre-staging information so that matches happen early in the drill?
Yes. So we are going to fill out the forms, the have and need forms with actual information on there. And it's going to be, if the hub is using one of the pantry organizers, it's going to be stuffed in there.
Oh,
okay. So that's going to be.
Yep.
Yeah, and there'll be stuff on the information board that maybe will change during the exercise, but there's going to be something written to start with so that we're not starting with a blank piece of paper.
Right. So this is under like scenarios, right? Where.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Perfect. Thank you. Yep.
Okay. And just a note, all of these tools we're using are the signups, the public sign up, the hub role sign up, the scenarios, all that kind of stuff is available for anyone who wants to do a drill in the future. And I know kind of that's why Jessica's asking, because she's got one scheduled for August at North Cap Hill. But it just seemed like the expectations were so low of being successful for this drill that maybe we needed to support the hubs a little bit more and make it really push to have a very successful drill and everybody walks out. I mean, my God, I've had crappy drills and I learned a ton. So there's never a bad drill in my opinion, but if you're worried about it being a total flop, we're going to try and support you as much as we can.
Are you going to cover it all the timings, or can I ask a question on your timings of the overall drill timing?
You can ask. I don't have much worked out, but go ahead.
Well, so you said 1:30 to 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And are you planning on having, is that like 1:30 everyone shows up then, and then you just go from there? It's not like come an hour before, those of you who have signed up on sign up.
Yeah, every hub's a little bit different. They were allowed to change and tell their volunteers what they wanted. So I think most of the hub captains are having their volunteers show up at 12:30. I think that's the general thing.
But can I add something from the radio team? Generally, when the exercise starts, you should be ready to go. The radio folks try to get pre-positioned because they've got equipment things that, you know, they got to just check that their equipment works. They plan on sending their first message at 10 after 1. And so we had a discussion with them that, you know, that's right when hub captains are still trying to get their tables unfolded and the same time the signs taped up. But, you know, it's never perfect, you know. But so I would strongly encourage people to be doing your safety briefing at 1:15 and then turning people loose. And while I got you, there's a comment, the safety briefing, I believe, is in the hub captain books under the safety officer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And then
I know
there's
we played with it before. Yeah, I'm glad that helps.
Yeah. And then Louise put in a clarification about her signs.
Yeah.
If Louise wants to talk through that.
Yeah, that's the first tent is start here, yellow background, red sign. Second tent is post here. Third tent is learn-volunteer. They're one tent. And the fourth tent is radio, but we didn't label it. We didn't want anybody to find it.
Has an invisibility cloak over it.
It does. It's a Harry Potter thing and it works really well.
You know, that learn volunteer, that's perfect because the another resource for the educator is the volunteer coordinator. If you've got a question you can't answer, that's the first place you ought to go, because maybe there's a knowledgeable person that the volunteer coordinator has run across that could answer that. So putting those two under the same tent is genius. I know that's why you did it, Louise. It wasn't just because you ran out of tents or anything.
Nope, it was well thought out.
Yes. All right. That's all I have about the drill. There's a lot more work to be done with the individual hub captains, but it has been a fabulous learning experience for me. I really appreciate everybody's time and patience with my almost daily emails.
All right, thanks, Anne. Do you want to roll into the next one, or do you want to take a minute and we'll see if Cindy's ready to do the night out map next, and we'll come back to you.
I would love a minute.
Okay.
Cindy, you be ready to step in?
Yes. I have seen that the night out registration website has opened up. I forgot to go look at it. We literally finished dinner 10 minutes before the meeting started. They have created a capacity so that when people sign their block up for a night out party, they're asked if they want to display that location on a public facing map. And it's so that, you know, if you have new neighbors in your neighborhood, they can go, oh, look, there's a block watch in my neighborhood. Who knew? And then they can also ask for people to stop by and visit that, you know, like maybe people who are running for political office might stop by, or you can ask for a firefighter to stop by. And they did that because we were asking them for better visibility where all these coordinated groups are, so that hub captains could actually find the block watch groups in their neighborhood. So I can't do it right now. Somebody's probably got it. Oh, there we go. Yay, look at that. So get the link and go look, you know, as the registrations pop up, and you can find out where all these block watch groups are. And block watches have in the past expressed interest in emergency preparedness, because if crime is low in their neighborhood, it's another community building exercise to have these discussions of, well, how would we be prepared in a disaster? And so depending on what comes out of our power out drill, and we might put together kind of like the after action of, here was our scenario, all these little learning tidbits that we got, like, you know, the sewers are going to overflow in a power out, and then give it to people and go, so this might be something good for you guys to discuss at your block party. You know, what would you do if the power went out? So
nice.
So that's what that night out participation map is.
Gabrielle, you're muted.
Any questions?
Thanks, Sydney. I signed up as soon as you sent out the email, and I will say the website was vastly improved in the information that it shared and what it asked for. So yeah, that
great. I'll give Jennifer that feedback that users
a big improvement.
thought it was good. Okay.
Great, thanks, Cindy. All right, Anne, we'll come back to you. You're going to talk about neighborhood maps.
Yeah, I don't need to say much, except some folks have been really good and gotten them in. I put in our first order, so I'm doing this in kind of batches. I got the 10 activating hubs, probably another 8 went in. Those, so 18 roughly will be available on June 2nd. So it's pretty good turnaround time. They're laminated. They're 24 inches by 36 inches. You get one free. The second one is $42 plus tax, I think. So if you haven't yet, please give me your boundaries. If you want to discuss them, that's great. John, the guy making the maps, has been really good about accommodating a little unique, like I want to see a smidge of the bridge and that kind of stuff. So he's really been very good about working with each of the hub captains. And he reached out to all of the hub captains, all 18 of them, sent them a PDF of their neighborhood to check it out. And then we'll make adjustments if you're not happy with it for some reason. So be thinking about what you want to do. I will resend the link, and I think it'll be really helpful. So don't delay on that. I can't string it out forever. It is part of a grant. Linda, did you have your hand up?
I just wanted to say, I saw the digital version of our map. It's fabulous. I mean,
Good.
It's the most amazingly detailed map. It has every single building all around here, all numbered. It's an amazing map.
I think you guys would be really happy. Yeah. So I put a deadline of May 31st on this. I can tell you right now, that's a soft deadline. Probably shouldn't tell you that, but it is. Oh, I wanted to say one last thing about drills moving forward. This power outage drill feels in some ways, very different than an earthquake. I think moving forward, there is a great deal to gain from practicing for a power outage as opposed to an earthquake all the time. And I know in the past we've vacillated between the two, but this one feels really good. And yeah, to me, it seems like problems that are conquerable. You tell me a building, a 6-story building has just collapsed, and I just don't know what to do. But you tell me that there's a kid that's going to die in 6 hours if they don't get power for their ventilator, I'm all in. So in my head, it's a different scenario, and I think there's great value in doing both. So I'm really glad we chose this scenario.
Great, thanks, Anne. Is any other questions?
I wanted to comment on what Anne said. Our neighborhood is totally appreciated when it's not just earthquake, when it's about disasters generally, be it wildfire or pandemic or whatever. It actually makes people calmer.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think the last item we have before we do some hub updates is hub logo. Cindy and Ann, that says optional. Is that something you wanted to talk about, or is that for a future day?
Oh, for a future day.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so should we move on and do some quick around the room updates?
Yeah.
Okay, we usually start in the Northwest. Anybody from the Northwest that would like to tell us about what they're doing, or if they're participating in some way in the drill? Laura, I think I saw you raise your hand. And then Pat after that. Laura, you're on mute.
I didn't think you wanted to see or hear me chew my dinner, so so I'm at time, and I thought, I talked to Jody, who's at the Ballard Commons hub, and so I decided to give it another try. So I did put up a poster on their shed, and I wrote another email to my P-patch people and specifically named some people. I have a spot where we actually could fit a small box. And so we're having a 20th anniversary of our P-patch. And I'm hoping this is in August, that I can set up a little spot with some hub information and maybe get some neighbors, because it will be a neighborhood kind of celebration. So anyway, giving it a try.
Great, thanks, Laura. Pat?
Yeah, we're up in Broadview and we are participating in the drill on June 11th. We are slow getting volunteers for the event. I would appreciate if other people want to come and help, although I did want to get my neighbors up trained. At any rate, we're thinking through a backup plan. If I didn't get all my spots filled, we would be eliminating a lot of things like reunification and medical officer and so on and so forth. So anyway, that's what's happening.
Pat, I just want to encourage you that when we talk about staffing the positions, one of the first people that we put to work is the volunteer coordinator, so that they start reaching out and grabbing people off the street and saying, hey, I need somebody to come do this. And here's the little one pager that will tell you how to do this job.
Yeah.
So don't overlook the serendipity aspect.
Okay.
Great, thanks. How about Northeast? Louise, Matt?
Just working on getting ready for the drill.
There's going to be a summer social in Maple Leaf, July. Oh, sorry. Sometime in July. It will be a table for hubs and a table like a mini skills fair kind of thing. So if anybody wants to work that, that'd be great. I'll put out information about it. I'm trying
July
to.
12th?
Is that what it is? Doesn't sound right.
Oh no, that's what I wait.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll let you guys know about it. Oh, it's July 19th, following event, Matt.
All right.
That's it for Northwest or Northeast for me.
And I'm gonna help out at the Ravenna hub, so my hub is not activating. The Windermere North, same point. How about Central West?
Okay, Central West. Actually, I've been working with Frank Gall. He's the hub captain for Magnolia. It's the West Queen Anne Playfield hub that's going to be actually activating. So we're putting together our equipment and our plans and our forms and trying to put some semblance of it all together. We have high hopes that we'll get quite a few people connected through our community councils, the Magnolia and Queen Anne Community Council, as well as some local publicity to get the public to show up. Of course, this is Saturday at the community center, outside the community center, so there should be quite a bit of foot traffic as well. So we look forward to this. That's it for Central West.
And are we doing our drill on Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday,
Yeah.
that's
Sunday.
right. Sunday,
Contemplating.
Just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Great.
Yes.
Anyone else in Central West? Okay, how about Central East?
Suppose that would be us at North Capitol Hill.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we are. I know we have several of our team members that will be helping out on June 11th, but we are not standing up ourselves because we are looking forward to that August 27th drill that we will be doing. Getting some, like Liz listening to all of you because I'm getting some ideas about how we might sort of promote this in our neighborhood for August. So I'm listening intently and taking notes. And I know we have for night out, we will have a presence. I know just in the next block down from me, we have a presence with a neighbor and one of our team members. So we will have a table there as well.
Great. Thanks. All right, I guess we move on to Southwest.
Actually, this is Ann Bond. We also are standing up in, that's right.
Sorry.
We're standing up in the East Lake neighborhood, east side of Lake Union, and we're working pretty hard to try to put the word out. I feel like the only way the drill will really be beneficial to both the public and to the volunteer team is by having tons of scenarios where everybody gets to learn. So we have about 5 volunteers in roles today. I would like more than that. And I'm kind of hoping that at a minimum, we can maybe recruit some people who just show up to the drill and ask them even if they're interested, expressing interest in shadowing somebody in a role for a few minutes to kind of see how that goes, and maybe even encourage them to go from role to role and kind of shadow what's going on from the other volunteers in the hub so that they get a better read on how it works. I think sometimes it's a little bit harder to read all of that from the periphery. We've reached out to the school, which is adjacent to the playground where we're standing up, and haven't heard back. Literally just sent an email today, but we don't have a ton of kids in the East Lake neighborhood, nor do we have things like, we don't have any Girl Scouts or Boy Scout troops. We have a rowing club. I've reached out to them, and we have the school, and I'm just hoping that we get enough traffic, maybe from parents who have children in the neighborhood, even if they don't go to school here, who will be up there. It is an off-leash dog area as well. So I'm hoping that we'll get kind of enough people there that we can really put the hub to the test. I'm more concerned about just having enough volume to have everybody learn something. So I'd be grateful for anybody who's interested in signing up.
Thanks, Ann. All right, now anyone else? Okay, let's try.
Mary Kate Ryan from Judkins is Central East, right?
Are we Central East?
Yeah, Ann is Central Core and you guys are Central East.
Sorry,
Thank
Cindy,
you.
I dropped the Central Core. You're right.
That's okay. I just didn't know where I was. Yeah, we're activating to our hub. We put it together and installed it during the pandemic. We've never opened it. We put everything in it. It has been closed and in the park for a couple of years. And our community council has sort of fallen a bit apart. I mean, they do still meet, but not as regularly. So hopefully this is just a way to get people back. We are in Judkins Park. It is a pretty active park. I'm hoping that between that and some postering and some badgering of people that we get a decent turnout as well. And just, even if we staff half the roles, as long as we get, a good number of people to just spend 10 minutes and walk through, I'm going to be really happy to open it up and set it up and see what it looks like.
I had a comment that I'm going to go into any social media venues I'm in to try to really promote this citywide, but I'm going to focus Judkins location for sort of the central area groups and things that I'm in. And speaking of that, I find it that I'm finding hubs having social media presence, and I want to follow them and like them. And I wonder if we could just set up a document on Google Drive so everybody could contribute their social media, because I find it really useful to just follow Madison Park. I found that they have a next door group and stuff like that, because people write a lot of good materials that are useful. We have a Facebook page, Big Whoop. It's the connecting, and I'm connected to Rainier Beach now, and so I want to utilize that to try to promote Judkins, and I'm gonna twist some arms, Mary Kate, too.
Can I, so I should have jumped in when Ann was done with the thing. I'm doing a lot of the outreach behind the scenes. So let me finish the drill stuff. The P-patch program sent out, we provided them the flyer and a press release. And we found out that she sent it out because we got about 8 emails saying, I'm really super interested, where's my nearest hub? And so that spun up a lot of interest. And so I know that Judkins, Kenya, the supervisor, is reaching out specifically to them to make sure that they come over to your hub, Mary Kate. So hopefully, we got multiple people working on that. So Catherine, yeah, do whatever you want, but we really wanted to make sure that sync up happened. The other thing that's happened is our event is now on the city event calendar. And the Department of Neighborhoods newsletter just came out like yesterday or the day before, and I didn't see our event on that yet, but they usually pull our event and highlight it. So that newsletter comes out every 2 or 3 weeks. So we have one more issue, and I'm hoping they pull it and put it in the citywide, goes to everybody who signed up for the DON Department of Neighborhoods newsletter. Sophia at OEM is sending it out to all her listservs, and she said she was going to post it on Nextdoor. And when Susanna, who is the ACS PIO, gets back in town, we're going to write up some of these messages for the drill specifically that you guys can use pre-canned to post on Nextdoor, to put into your local blogs. We do this every year. It's just, we're not quite in that window where that has to happen yet. And we sent out, we've talked about this at the state, King County, and at the access and functional needs working groups. And so we know that they are very interested, and we've heard from their leadership that they're going to show up at hubs too. So there's a lot of bubbling activity that you guys aren't seeing solidify, and more will come in the next 3 weeks as we start sending the press releases out to traditional media and the ethnic news media. In the Google Drive, in the hub, in our Google Drive, there's a folder for the exercise, and it's got Ann's flyer in it. I think we got to make one correction to the press release about a .com versus a .org. And so don't pull it tonight. Let me get time to get in there and fix that. And then there is a giant list of all the media and who we are sending this to, from the mayor to the council members. So if you're curious who this is going to, you can look at my working notes in there. Just please don't share it with anybody, because it's sometimes snarky about who doesn't respond. So that was what I should have added into the drill. So you guys are feeling left out right now, but that's because the push hasn't really started. If you start too early, people forget about it.
Great, Cindy, thanks. I will say I saw the OEM announcement on Nextdoor, and but I do think I hope they do it again closer to the date, just like you said. And also, I think it'll be great when the individual hubs start posting as well. Yeah, I think Matt, you had something up there, right? Did you put something up, or?
I posted an event, yeah. So my hub has a profile on Nextdoor. I posted an event, and then I posted a message linking to it.
I sometimes find I don't see events as much, so I tend to not post events, but I will go and look for the event. I think I did see yours.
I think you already replied to it.
Yeah, I might have already commented on it, but sometimes I just use the regular ones. Okay, so let's see. I think did we get everyone in Central Core and Central East? All right, Southwest.
No, I know the 2 hubs that are participating are working, so nothing else is going. Oh, actually, I take that back. Johnny did a booth up at the Bee Festival, which reminds me, please take pictures at all these events, because I'm pretty sure he didn't take any pictures. So I have no idea if it was well attended or what to use in the next newsletter. So don't forget to take pictures at your events and at the exercise. That's it.
Great. Anyone else? Southwest? Southeast?
Yeah.
Linda?
Some things are going very, very well, and some things I'm less certain of, but the things that are going very well, volunteer signups are great. Public signups are great. I had a couple work parties with my group, and we've gotten a lot done in between our monthly meetings. And I have to apologize to you. My group came up with a really nice set of goals, and I never shared them with you, and I'm sorry I didn't.
Oh.
I hope that we're going to have enough volume. I echo what somebody said earlier about, that's how you truly test. If you're, you truly test yourself. And we all want to learn from this. So I hope enough people will come. We are doing our damnedest to get people there. An email went out from a blast from the Lakewood Community Club that has a 500-person mailing list. We made a new flyer because we felt that the citywide flyer was great if you're to get all of the city and show where it is on the map, but it doesn't really even have the name of our hub on it. So we made our own for local consumption around here to post all around here. And I've got we divided all those up last weekend, and people are taking them to all different businesses now. And then we're going to, after Memorial Day, start putting them on posts and kiosks and stuff. We don't want to do it too soon because they'll get covered up by the time the date comes around. And I'm probably forgetting some things, but anyway, I mean, there's stuff to do every single day. I'm working on this every day, and so are some of my other people. So we're cautiously confident that we can pull this off. So, I think it's going to be good. I mean, we all know it'll be good, and we'll learn from it, but we just hope that it'll also be a little bit more than that, because we really want our community to take note of us and realize that we're here, and that's part of what we want to do.
Great. Thanks, Linda. Do we have anybody else? Dave?
Yeah, hi. Just a couple of things. Now, one thing I heard, Jessica, are you doing a drill just your hub?
Yes.
Okay. You might want to stay in touch with us, because it might be fun to send you a communicator and simulate some traffic back and forth, and it might help you build a relationship with a ham in the neighborhood. So please stay in touch about that. And any of you that are going to do a hub only exercise, or maybe two hubs come up, we can help. We don't have to do a full court press, but you might like to meet your local communicator and see what they do. Make that part of it. The second thing I was going to mention was, in the exercise, if you have your own ham that you want to use as your communicator, feel free to do that. The operator does not have to be a card carrying member of ACS, and we do carry cards, by the way. They just have to have a radio license. So if you have your own ham, hold them close, and be nice to them, and they will be yours. The good news is that Seattle ACS can provide you with a well-trained, dedicated, well-equipped ham. The bad news is that they are a city resource, and they can be redeployed, maybe not to your choice. But if you have your own ham, they can work for you. But that's all, just to encourage you to feel free to find your own communicator. And even if somebody's not a member of ACS, they can take part in training. They can benefit from all the information that we have.
Great, thanks, Dave. Cindy, I see you have your hand up.
When you get, don't skip Central, or excuse me, Southeast, because I'll give a call out for them. Are they next?
I think they are next. Yes, Southeast.
And I didn't see anybody on, but I just wanted to put in a plug for their Urban Survival Skills Fair coming up. I didn't look for a couple of days, but they only had about 50% of their table spaces filled up. So I think that's June 3rd. I keep getting the dates wrong. And that's going to be a big one for them because that is a big community event, and we want to have them have a good showing. So if you've got any time to spare on that day, hop in on the blog page on our website. It's got the link to the sign up if you can help at a table. Thanks.
Thanks. Do we have anybody else that has anything they want to share? If I missed anyone or somebody thought of something?